Welcome to the real side of real estate. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how we made $38,500 in less than 45 days on a house without ever owning it. My name is Tommy Harr. I'm a 29-year-old real estate investor. We wholesale, we flip, we do rental properties, and it's my goal out here to share the real side of real estate to all of you watching and make it attainable for everybody to invest in real estate. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about in this last deal, I'm talking about wholesaling real estate. And make sure you stick around to the end of this video because I'm gonna be giving crazy discounts and a bunch of free items that I use every single day in my wholesale business. So without further ado, let's get to it. Like I said before, this is called wholesaling real estate. And in basic terms, wholesaling real estate is an amazing way to generate capital, and you're just a professional deal finder. You connect a seller that wants to sell their house for cash to a buyer that is looking for investment properties in those areas. In basic terms, you're marketing out to sellers that may or may not know they want to sell their property, and you're offering a solution to their problem. You put that property under contract legally, and then you sell that paper to an end buyer or investor, and you make the middle money in between. I'm going to take you step by step through all of these things here in a second. But to make it super basic for those of you that are watching, assume that I put a property under contract for $100,000. Now this property needs work. I then market it out and sell it to an end investor for $120,000. Now I never owned the house. I never swung a hammer. I just legally shifted around paper, connected the seller and the buyer. And when the buyer closes with the seller, I make $20,000 cold, hard cash straight into my bank account. It's an amazing thing. It's completely changed my life. And over the next couple minutes, I'm gonna break it down step by step. And then I'm gonna take you through the $38,500 deal that we just completed, exactly how we did it. So make sure you're sticking to the end. Before I go any farther, I'm not talking about getting on your computer and getting on Zillow or the market and just talking to sellers and properties that are already on the market. There will be 0 for sale signs. It's a sales and marketing technique to be able to find these people before they put it on the market and solving their problems. So here we go, step by step of the basics of what a wholesale deal looks like. Number one, and the first step is gonna be more of a mindset thing. As a wholesaler, you only make money when there's profit to be made for an end consumer or an investor. So that means you have to be getting these properties under contract for 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar. So if a house is gonna be worth 100 grand fixed up, you need to be locking these properties up for $40, $50, $60,000 for the end investor who may be a flipper or a rental property investor to be able to make money on that deal. But also the seller needs to have their problem solved. So whatever their problem is, and I'm gonna go into all of those here in a minute, you need to be the problem solver for both sides. The seller has a problem, they need quick cash. You are solving that problem, and then you're finding deals for the end buyer. So you are a master communicator in between the two, and you're solving problems. Another little mindset thing for you is a seller will always get the most amount of money putting their property on the market. So why would somebody sell at 50 cents or less on the dollar to a wholesaler? Well, it's because they have a problem, and you are that solution to their problem. So you need to tell them these things. But the reason why somebody wouldn't put it on the market, because it takes 45 to 60 days minimum to sell their house. They're gonna need to make repairs. So you need to find people that need that money fast, and you are the person to solve that problem. So when a seller works with a wholesaler, your value proposition to this seller is simple. We offer a quick cash transaction. They're gonna get their money in 30 days or less. There's not gonna be a ton of walkthroughs, 0 repairs, they're not gonna pay realtor fees, and you're gonna pay all of the closing costs. The only money that comes out of their pocket is going to be any mortgages, liens, or any taxes that they owe on that property. The rest is straight cash into their pocket. So this is good for people that have sold a house before and they've been nickel and dime by realtors. They've had to make a ton of repairs. The house is in disrepair. It's perfect for those people. And as I go through step by step, you'll learn more about what I'm talking about. So the last part of the mindset is you need to start thinking deeper when you're talking to people as to why would they want to sell their house cheap. And it's all about motivation to sell. If you can't find motivation, you're not going to get a deal. If they're low motivation, that means they're just gonna sell on the market. So you need to find motivated sellers. I'm gonna screen share here right now, and I'm gonna go through all the types of motivation so you can get a little bit of mindset on it. All right, so like I said before, without motivation with the seller, they're not gonna wanna sell at pennies on the dollar. So when you're starting to talk to people, which we're gonna get in how to find all those people, is motivation. So you need to figure out this mindset piece before you ever start to talk to anybody. So on my screen here, you can see all sorts of types of motivation. We break it into 3 buckets. We have money motivation, time and energy, and knowledge. Sellers will be in one of these 3 buckets. So number 1 is they don't have the money. They don't have the money to fix it up. They don't have the money to go move somewhere. They don't have the money aspect, and that's why they're selling their house cheap so they can get quick cash. Next is the time and the energy. They don't have the time and the energy. And let me just break all these down step by step. So money, they're moving out of state. They need the money to move. They're moving to a different type of house. They're downsizing. They need the money. They have liens on the property. That means that they owe somebody money. They have troubled tenants. They need the money that they've lost from the tenants. The house needs a lot of work. They don't have the money to fix it. They're in probate. They inherited a property and they need that fast money. The house is vacant. It's not an income producing asset. It's a liability. They're going through foreclosure, health problems that they need cash for, or they're going through a divorce. They need to liquidate money. So if you start to hear these things, that's why somebody would sell at a discount. Next, time and energy. That's a big thing. Not everybody like you watching this video is going to be a full-time real estate investor. They don't have the time, they don't have the energy to do what you do on a daily basis. So they're moving out of state. They don't have the time for the house. The same thing, they're moving to a different type of house. They don't have the energy. They may be getting old. It's a hoarder house. They have troubled tenants. They're a tired landlord. They've been doing it for a long time and they're ready to just get out of the game. The house needs a lot of work and they value their time. They could fix it up themselves, but they don't want to do that. They are doing other things that are making them money. Bad experience with realtors and other wholesalers. They don't have the energy or the time to get dicked around by another wholesaler or realtor that didn't do what they promised them to do. Health problems, the family's living in a property. That's one of the biggest motivations that we see is they're renting to a family member or a family member lives in the house. That is a huge motivational piece for people. They're past due on taxes or they live out of state. So once again, this is just for you to start thinking about why somebody would sell to you at 50, 60 cents on the dollar. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, Tom, I have a squatter in the house, that tells me a bunch of motivations. That means they're not making any money. The house is probably beat up. I'm going to attack that property because I think they have motivation. And last is your knowledge. They don't have the knowledge to deal with these certain issues. Number 1 is a hoarder house. They don't have the knowledge to take all this stuff out. They don't have the know-how. The liens on the property. They don't know how to get clear title. They don't even know that they can even sell the house. So you're the solution to that problem. The house needs a lot of work and they don't know where to start. They don't know construction. They don't know contractors. They don't know any of these things. And then probate. Probate is when somebody inherits a house. Somebody passes away. That means that somebody may have gotten a house that they don't have the knowledge of what to do, how they can do anything with it, or even the know-how to fix it up. So right here is all of the motivations, and you're not going to, let me reiterate this, you are not going to get a deal without finding motivation. 99, 100% of the time, price is going to be secondary. It sounds crazy, but if you can find the motivation and you can be the solution to that motivated problem, you are going to find deals in wholesale real estate. So make sure you look through this again, screenshot it, and put it on in front of you when you're starting to talk to sellers because this is very, very important. Let's get to the next. So now that we've talked about all of these motivations and we know kind of who we're looking for when it comes to wholesaling real estate, how do we find them? How do we find people that actually want to sell their house and that are motivated? The answer to that question is you need to get lists of houses, whether you're driving for dollars, which is getting in your car, driving around finding houses that are messed up. Remember, messed up houses is a motivation for a seller. But in order to do it professionally, we're pulling lists online. And I'm going to get into all of those things here. But first thing I want to do is screen share once again the certain lists that you can get online to give yourself a better chance to find motivated sellers. Let's get to it. All right, so like I said before, you are going to be buying lists online, and I'll tell you exactly where to get all of these here in a minute, but you can buy lists online because everything in real estate, specifically wholesale real estate, everything's public record. When you buy a house, it's public record. If you're tax delinquent, you're going public record. If you get a mortgage, it's public record. So you can buy lists from public record data sources, and you need to then extract what you think someone might be motivated. So if you look at my screen here, these are all the lists that you can get. I'm gonna break them down very quickly. Number one is equity. If you don't know what equity is, it means that you owe less than what the house is worth. So if I owe $50,000 on a house and it's worth 100, I have 50 grand of equity. That means I can sell and make $50,000. You want to find people that have the most amount of equity because they can sell for a discount. Next is absentee owner. This is a classic one. They own the house, but they have a different tax mailing address, meaning that they're a landlord or they stumbled into a house. You want to find people that own the house but don't live in the house. 3, free and clear. That means they have no mortgage on the house. Once again, they can sell the house at a discount. Eviction lists, you can get these from your county. This is a free list. So some of these are paid, some of these are free lists. But these are things that you need to start seeing because these are all possibilities to market to. Tax delinquent list, so they're late on their taxes. Tax lien, they're so late that the county put a lien or the state put a lien on their home. They went through a bankruptcy, miscellaneous lien, utility lien. They didn't pay their water bill. Their water is shut off. It's going to tax sale. They have a code violation, failed listing, meaning they listed it and it didn't go through. Some sort of judgment, mechanics lien, meaning they owe a contractor money. Driving for dollars list. Probate, meaning somebody passed away and they inherited a house. Pre-probate. Pre-foreclosure, meaning they're going to lose the house to the bank. Multifamily. Arm's length, meaning they sold it in between family members. They may have owned it for a long time. Utility shutoffs, senior owner. Older people are going to be a great demographic for you. Divorces, great motivation. Deceased, HOA lien, low income, or ARM, adjustable rate mortgage. So I'm not going to go into each one of those in depth, but these are all the lists. Think through all of these and think deeper. What are the motivations from each of these? Probate, that means somebody passed away and inherited a house. That is a massive motivation. Evictions, somebody just went through an eviction. That's motivation. You need to get in front of these people. The list you don't want to pull and the people you don't want to talk to are somebody that just bought their house last year. That means they probably bought it at the top of the market. They have no equity. They can't sell their house at a discount. And remember in the beginning of this video, what I said, the only way that a wholesaler gets paid is because they are getting a house at a discount. Discount, discount, discount. Massively important. Make sure you screenshot this. Make sure you understand this because we're going to get to the next thing right now. Let's get it. So to finish up the list portion of this video, you need to get a Propstream account, Propstream. It's $99 a month and you can pull 10,000 records every single month. We use this in our business every single week to pull our lists, every single month rather. So in the bottom, as promised in the beginning, you have a free trial. So go to the description in this video, get the free trial. It's 7 days. What you can do is get the 7-day trial, pull your 10,000 records, cancel your account or keep it going, cancel your account, and now you have 10,000 records that you can market to. I'm talking to the people that are watching this video that are on a very limited budget. So that is a free way to get 10,000 potential people to market to. Get a high equity list, get a free and clear list, and then go to the next step, which is going to be skip tracing. Skip tracing is now it's thrown around, and when I was in the beginning of my real estate career, I didn't understand it until somebody really, really broke it down. So here it is. Imagine a private investigator service. It gets somebody's phone number, it gets their email, it gets where they live. Skip tracing is exactly that. They are taking these lists that you just bought, so you got these 10,000 records from Propstream, which I just showed you. They are going to use public record data and they are going to extract from the things that you give it, so a mailing address, the name of the owner, all these things. They're going to give you a phone number for that person and they're going to give you an email address and a tax mailing address. That is going to give you the 3 things you need to be able to now get a hold of these people and get on the phones. So if you're not getting on the phones talking to people, you're not going to be getting deals. Skip tracing is the most important piece of this puzzle because without good data, you're not going to get a hold of people. So another promise, which I'm going to fulfill right now, most skip tracing, if you skip trace on Propstream or batch leads, is going to be 8 to 10 to 15 cents a record. We have a service for you called Kind Skip Tracing. The link is in the description. It's 3 cents a record. So if you take this 10,000 records that you just got, if you're following this step by step, plug it into there, it's going to be $300 for you. Skip tracing is always going to be the most expensive part of your marketing. So get this, now you're $300 in, and now you have 10,000 numbers that you can start picking up the phone and calling to start doing your first wholesale deal. So you can be doing your first wholesale deal for less than $1,000 if you follow this video step by step. So Kind Skip Tracing, go to the description below, click it, you get a discount for 3 cents a record when you use my link. So make sure you're using that after we finish this. So now you have 10,000 records and you have 10,000 records that you just skip traced. So you have phone numbers for every single one of these people. So what's next? Do not be lazy. Do not get scared. The next part is the hardest part of wholesaling. It's picking up the phone and calling people. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be unnatural. You're gonna suck in the beginning. I sucked in the beginning. Sometimes I still suck when I call people, but money rewards action takers. So make sure you're picking up the phone and calling people. So there's 2 things you can do here. Number 1 is a free way. Google Voice. Google Voice is a free service. You can call people one at a time. You're going to get a lot of wrong numbers. You're going to get a lot of disconnected lines. So for what I recommend you do is get a dialer system. So if you've never heard of a dialer system, get Smrtphone, Smrtphone, or Mojo Dialer. This is a phone system that you can pop those skip trace records into, and you can call two lines at a time, 3 lines at a time, 4 lines, sometimes even 5 people at a time. So if I do it right now on my computer, I can call 5 people all at once. If somebody picks up, it'll drop the other 4 a voicemail, and I'll talk to the other people. So you're doing 5x your output, and you're getting a hold of more and more people with your time because your time is a sacred source for you. So Smrtphone, it's the best dialer system. Once again, we have a link for you in the bottom of this video. You get 30% off your first 3 months, and you get discounted phone numbers for life when you use our code. So you skip trace these numbers. The next thing you want to do is call these people and ask them if they want to sell their home for cash fast. It's as simple as that. There's more detailed things, but don't overcomplicate it in your head. You just got to pick up the phone and take action. Okay, so you follow my lead, you start taking action, you start making phone calls. So there's 2 things you need to do. Number 1 is you need to account for what people are saying. Keep very, very good notes because you're gonna have to follow up with these people. So make sure you're using a Google Sheets or some sort of CRM, which I'm gonna get into in other videos, or just make notes on a yellow pad. Hey, I talked to Susie today. She said to call in 2 weeks, she's gonna be ready to sell. If you don't call Susie in 2 weeks, you're not gonna get that deal and somebody else is. So make sure you're keeping some sort of notes on these records. So keeping notes on everything, and make sure you are always thinking about motivation. Because remember, they can sell this house for more money on the market all the time, every time. So why would they talk to somebody that's offering a cash solution? It's all about the motivation. So go back to the beginning of this video. There's a reason why I put that in the beginning, to start thinking about motivations as to why somebody would sell at pennies on the dollar. So let's say you call Susie back in 2 weeks and she says, you know what, Tom, I really like you. I really like the way you do business. I really like the way you sound. I really like the solution that you have to my problem. So what do? You freak out a little bit, you get excited, but the next thing you do is you sign a purchase and sale agreement, a PASA, which we call it in the wholesaling world. This is a contract which is going to legally bind you and Susie, the seller, to sell her house to you. Now, there's many things that go on in this contract, and I'm not going to go line by line on it, but what I will do is go down to the bottom of the description. I have my wholesaling contracts for you for free down at the bottom. So make sure you download these, familiarize yourself with them, get a lawyer to look at them to make sure they're legal in your states, which they are. I've had people in all 50 states use it, but make sure, I'm not a lawyer, make sure you have somebody look it over. So you can sign it in person, you can sign it via DocuSign, but the biggest thing is to get this property in contract so then you can take this thing to the next step. Now I talk like this is easy, it's not that easy, but this is as simple as it needs to be for you to start taking action. So in order for something to actually be a deal, you need to know plenty of things, which I have other videos on. I'm not gonna go into depth on these in this video, but I wanna pop it in here just to show you guys that you need to know these things. Number one is ARV, after repair value. What is that house that you're offering on worth fixed up? Two, you need to know basic renovation costs or a deal analyzer. Once again, I have my free deal analyzer in the show notes, in the description down at the bottom here. Make sure you start to familiarize yourself what a rehab looks like. And three, you need to start learning exit strategies. If it's a flipper, you need to know profit margins. You need to know money costs. You need to know certain things. Same thing for a rental property investor. You need to start to understand what equity they're looking for, what exit strategies, what kind of banking. But don't overcomplicate it. Just make sure you're getting that house significantly discounted from the ARV, which I'm gonna have other videos on. Just make sure you're looking through my page, and that's why you need to be liking and subscribing so you can get every video when it comes out. You have the property in contract. This is amazing. Now, what is the next step? Do not skip this next step because this is so important. It's gonna help you with your education as well. Get what I call an investor inspection on this property. And if you know me and you've been following me for a while, I was a home inspector. This is what I did for other investors, and the value is immense. Hire an inspector for what I call an abbreviated home inspection. $150, $200, whatever it may be. They're gonna take 150 to 200 pictures and give you a couple page, maybe one, maybe 2 page report on the big ticket items. Your roof, your siding, your windows, your furnace, your foundation, your gutters, your windows. These are all gonna be things that are gonna help you build your budget, because you can look at a house and see that walls are messed up, it needs painted, but you need to know the big ticket items because you need to portray this and then to the next step, your end buyers. And also you need to know if a seller is lying to you about condition or not. You need to know if you need to get a renegotiation or not, but you need the education to be able to then renegotiate and negotiate with your buyer and your seller. This is gonna be a huge piece. Once again, show notes, my investor inspection is there. And if you guys can't tell by the end of this video how much value all of this is, people pay thousands and thousands of dollars for all of these documents and for this information right here. So now that you have your investor inspection, and you need to get this inspection as soon as you possibly can, because these contracts that you're getting with these sellers are 30 days long and they start immediately when you get in contract. So you have 30 days now to then find your end buyer. So your inspection needs to come fast, and you need to start marketing this picture and the address and your price to end buyers. So remember when we talked about wholesaling, wholesaling is selling this contract to an end buyer for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, whatever it is. It depends on how good of a deal you get. So in order to find these buyers, you need to do 3 things. Number one, you need to start going to networking events in your area. This is gonna be the best way to find local buyers that are not across the country. This is gonna be the very best way. Network. Number 2, Facebook groups. I've sold probably 100 deals on 2 Facebook groups in where I'm from in Columbus, Ohio. Super powerful. Number 3 is going to be skip tracing a cash buyers list from Propstream. So like you can get a cash buy or a seller's information on Propstream, you can also pull cash buyers lists and you can cold call them. So what you're doing is you're bundling these 150, 200 pictures, and you got the house, let's call it in contract for 100. You're saying, hey, I have this house at this address for 120 grand. Here's the address, here's the pictures, here's all the information. Do you want to buy it with cash or do you not? And that's when you start getting it out to as many people as you can so you can get visibility on this deal to be able to make your money. You do not make money, no matter how many deals you get on the front end, without selling that deal to investors. Very important. So let's say you spend the next 10 to 14 days marketing this property and you finally get somebody that wants that property. It could be within a day, it could be within 2 weeks or 3 weeks. If it's a good deal, people will jump on it immediately. Let's say somebody jumps on it and says, Tom, I want it bad. What's the next steps? What you're going to do is send what's called an assignment agreement. This is another contract. So it's another contract that you and the buyer are signing. But this assignment attaches to the purchase and sale agreement. So it's basically taking Tom Har, the owner, or the owner of this contract here, to the buyer over here at a higher dollar. So if I'm in contract with Susie for $100,000 and Jim over here is buying it for $120,000, it's trading my name out of that contract for him at $120,000, and we make $20,000 in between. So once again, down at the bottom, you have my wholesaling contracts. My assignment contract is in there. And at the end of this video, I'm actually going to walk through the deal that we made $38,500. I'm going to show you all of the things we just talked about at the end of this video. So you sign an assignment agreement, and then you wait a couple weeks or 1 week, and then you close on that deal. So the seller comes to closing, the buyer comes to closing. You don't sign any documents. You just make sure everybody's coordinated. So let's say it's the end of the month. The 28th of the month, the seller signs, the buyer signs. They're not even in the same room. They sign separately. They all close, and you make 20, 30, 40, 50 grand without ever swinging a hammer. It's the absolute best feeling in the world, because what did you do in this whole scenario? You just hustled. You made a couple phone calls, a ton of phone calls, and at the end of the day, you can walk away with life-changing money. Changed my life. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, it's going to change yours too. Only if you take action on this stuff. So in the beginning of this video, I said we made $38,500 in less than 45 days without ever owning a house, without ever swinging a hammer. Here is the real life scenario. I'm gonna take you through everything here. So I talked basically step by step of what a wholesale deal looks like. I talked about motivations, I talked about lists, I talked about skip tracing. Here is this put into action. So this house right here, it's a small suburb that's growing pretty rapidly of Columbus, Ohio. It's Newark, Ohio, 81 Spring Street. We found the house through a probate list. So somebody passed away and somebody inherited a house. So we didn't know who this person was. All we did was we found their phone number, we put them into our smartphone dialer, and we cold called them. So you see the house here. This is not a house that looks like it's worth top dollar, right? It looks a little beat up. This is Google Earth. This is in 2024, 2023. It doesn't look that great. These are the houses you're looking for. So it is April 3rd. We just closed this last Friday. So this lead came in February 21st of 2024. So that's 1 week out of February and then all of March. So less than 40 days from contract all the way to close on this property. So why did this seller want to sell their house? He inherited the house from a deceased family member. He lives in another state. So somebody passed away in his family. He inherited this house. So that right there is motivation number one. Number two, there is a tenant in the house that does not pay any money. Another massive motivation. He's not making any money on this property. It's a non-income producing asset for him. So he lives out of state. He inherited the house. He is somebody that's not paying money, and it's also in bad condition. It needs $70,000 to $80,000 worth of work. So there's four motivations right there. He inherited it. He lives out of state. There's a tenant in there, and it needs work. He may not know how to do any of those things. So when we called him 17 times and sent him 68 text messages until we put this property in contract. So that's how much effort it takes. But when we did get a hold of him, he said, he told us all those things. Hey, I inherited it. I really don't want anything to do with it. Give me a number. I'll take anywhere between $60,000 and $80,000. I think he said exactly that. So our acquisitions team, we said, hey, would you take $67,500? And he said yes. Remember, we had never seen this house yet. We did this straight over the phone. So we pulled the list, we cold called the list, and we talked to him. We just had a conversation. We found out what the motivation was, and now we're solving his problem for him. He doesn't have to deal with this house anymore. So he gave us a number that's fair, and we gave it to him. We said, hey, we'll close in less than 30 days, cash. But the cool thing about this house here is that houses in the area are selling for in the low 200,000s. The ARV of what the house is worth when it's finished, after we put 70 to 80 grand in reno, is $225,000. We have it in contract for $67,500. Sounds like a great deal, right? Correct. So what we did is we got an investor inspection on the property, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. Okay, so here's our investor inspection. We had an inspection company come out, and they gave us the lowdown on what the property was. So they talked about the roof. It's an old slate roof. I'm not going to go through all these. You can read it yourself. But they talked about the roof, the siding, the windows, the porches, the decks, the gutters, the doors, the lots and grounds, the foundation, subfloor, hot water tank, air conditioner, plumbing. This takes the guessing out of everything for you, by the way. And then you can go in and go to the pictures here, and you can see the condition of the house. So they're doing the legwork for you. So if I go in and click, you can see that this house is not in great condition. There's water spots all over the ceilings. There's trash everywhere. The floors are ripping up. There's a whole lot of things that need to be done with this house. So that's why we're getting it such a discount, and it needs repair. So what we did is we walked through this inspection report. We then came to a conclusion that it needs 70 to 80 grand of work or so. And we then marketed it out to our cash buyers list for $100,000. Here's exactly what our marketing piece looks like to our buyers list and our Facebook groups. Cheap flip or rental opportunity. We have a picture of the front of the house. Here's the address. Here are the beds and baths, the square footage, when it's built, when the closing is, tenant occupied. We're asking 100 grand. Remember, we're in contract for $67,500. That would have been 35 grand right there. We think it's worth 225 when it's all said and done. If you want to make us an offer, call us on our phone number right here. Boom. They have all the information they need. So what we did is this is now in the stratosphere. The buyers are looking at it. There's people that are interested in it. We set a walkthrough. So we set a walkthrough, and people were like, man, it's a little bit worse than I thought. There's water in the basement. And we already knew that from our inspection. So what we did next is, because we didn't know all these things were happening, we price dropped the seller because nobody wanted it for what we had it for. We were getting offers at maybe 75, 80 grand, and we thought we should make more. We reduced the price. Everything is negotiable down to $54,000. So 67.5 down to 54. So we reduced the price $13,500 by just asking for it from the seller. And then finally a buyer came to us and said, you know what? I want to buy this thing for $92,500, close in a week. So here you go. Here's our assignment agreement. Actually, let me show you the purchase agreement first instead of the addendum. So we got Legacy Ohio Homes, that's us, 81 Spring Street. This is literally everything right here. Purchase price, $67,500. We had 25 days to get it sold. Close on March 29th. Remember, well, we just signed this on 3/5. So we had 25 days to get this thing sold. And we were marketing it for 100. So now we found our buyer. We have the assignment agreement here between our other buyers. So we have the seller, the one I just showed you, and now we have the assignment agreement with the buyer. It's $92,500. We're in contract for $54,000. That's $38,500 cash into your pocket. So he agrees to this. I'm not going to go through all this because it has signatures and all that stuff. And then lastly, once you have those two together, what you do is you bring them into one, and this is what the final settlement statement looks like. So the buyer is this LLC. The seller is this. Remember, I'm Legacy Homes. I'm not on this document. So we're selling it for $54,000. So down here at the bottom is the magical thing that you need to look for. I'm going to zoom in. Hopefully you can see this. Assignment fee to Legacy Ohio Homes LLC, $38,500. Remember, this lead came in from a cold call February 27th. This sold 3/29/2024. That is, what is that, 38 days? So 38 days from contract to sold, $38,500. That's life-changing money. If we can do that, you can absolutely do that. So I hope you got some amazing value out of this video. Remember, this is the real side of real estate. I just showed you exactly, step by step, how to wholesale real estate. It's not do not overcomplicate it. This is something that you can take to the next level. But in the simplest terms, if you take what I just told you, you can absolutely change your life. And if you want more of stuff like this, make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, go down to the description, click the link in there that says join the Real Side of Real Estate community. If you think this is helpful, join the community. This is hundreds of other real estate investors working with us in a group setting to learn how to wholesale real estate every single day. So, if you found this valuable, share it with a friend. Make sure you're liking this video, subscribing, and take action. Do not overthink this stuff. It's right around the corner for you. It's life-changing. It can be scary. It's something new. You may not know what you're doing, but the good thing is you follow me and the Real Side of Real Estate. Thank you for watching. On to the next one.